The Galactic Council chamber resembled a magnificent crystalline cathedral in space, a colossal, semi-translucent amphitheater that orbited a neutral starbase in the Orion sector. Crystalline walkways stretched across the vast expanse, while floating platforms arranged in concentric rings hovered at various heights. The ambient hum from millions of holographic translators filled the air, creating a melodious background to the momentous occasion. The year was 5348 A.G., after Galactic Union, a time when most elder civilizations had coexisted under an uneasy detente for centuries. Species from across the galaxy had gathered for what they presumed would be a simple formality: Earth's official submission to galactic oversight. Three silent figures stepped onto the lowest dais reserved for emerging species. Ambassador Serena Malik, once a celebrated orator on Earth, led the human delegation with a stoic posture that puzzled many observers. Behind her stood General Marcus Harlow, a decorated war hero wearing a ceremonial but battle-scarred uniform. His presence was commanding, yet he remained silent, never permitted to speak in these proceedings. The third member was Dr. Li Weifeng, Earth's chief xenosciences researcher, who was rumored to have pioneered human synth replicants. His calm demeanor added another layer of enigma to the already mysterious human delegation. News feeds projected into every delegate's personal holoscope displayed Earth's public peace fleet of merely 20 mid-range transports. The sight prompted subtle murmurs to ripple through the assembly. The Zephyrin gas cloud representatives swirled in amusement, while the imposing Chronac warcasts clicked their mandibles with barely concealed derision. The prevailing sentiment echoed clearly throughout the chamber. Earth's here to bow and sign? A single Voran subdelegate, junior diplomat Marak, noted under her breath. They have not said a single word. 42 minutes and still counting. Her crystalline eyes narrowed as she studied the humans with growing curiosity. The observation went largely ignored by her superiors, who were busy preparing the terms of Earth's surrender. The grandeur of the moment was palpable as Ambassador Theric of the Evotari Dominion, the de facto meeting host, stood before the Council's High Arbiter. Theric's scaled skin shimmered under the chamber's ethereal lighting as he adjusted his ceremonial robes. With a gesture that conveyed both authority and condescension, he activated the central holoprojector. Esteemed delegates of the Galactic Council, Theric's voice resonated through the chamber, automatically translated into hundreds of languages. Today, we welcome Earth to formalize its voluntary submission to galactic oversight. His emphasis on voluntary drew knowing chuckles from several elder race representatives. Theric continued, not bothering to mask the contempt in his voice. Humanity has proven itself resourceful, if primitive. Their determination to join our Grand Union is commendable, though their technological capabilities remain. He paused dramatically, quaint by our standards. The holoprojector displayed a map showing Earth's peace fleet of 20 simple transports, followed by images of Earth's scarce off-world colonies. Theric gestured to a particularly condescending image of wheeled vehicles still used on Earth's surface. Note their continued reliance on combustion engines and physical locomotion devices, he commented, eliciting more laughter from the assembly. As is customary for emerging species, the Council has prepared reasonable terms for Earth's integration. Theric's voice took on a formal cadence as he outlined the Council's proposal. First, Earth shall serve as an agricultural and raw material provider to the Union. No starship beyond 20 metrics of warp capacity shall be permitted in Earth space without direct Council oversight. Second, human reproduction and population shall be strictly regulated by ration-based quotas, ensuring sustainable resource allocation across our shared systems. Third, any military research or force beyond basic defensive drills shall be deemed illegal under galactic law, with severe penalties for violations. Theric looked directly at the human delegation, expecting signs of resignation or perhaps a futile protest. Instead, he was met with absolute stillness. The three humans did not move an eyelash for 10 consecutive minutes, an impossible physiological feat for any organic being. The council members, initially brimming with smug satisfaction, began to grow uneasy. Whispers of "did they faint?" and "biological anomaly" circulated through the chamber. Theric himself paused mid-sentence as his communication aide stammered, "Ambassador, they're not breathing heavily, nor blinking." The Evotari diplomat cleared his throat, trying to regain composure. "Perhaps our Earth guests are contemplating the generosity of our terms?" His attempt at humor fell flat as the unsettling silence persisted. A Voran delegate, growing increasingly disturbed by the human stillness, tentatively requested biometric scans. "High Arbiter, might we confirm the biological status of the Earth representatives? This behavior is unprecedented." The High Arbiter Orexi, an ancient being who had overseen countless such proceedings, nodded gravely. "Approved. Crystalline shard technologists. Proceed with non-invasive biometric assessment." Scanners hummed to life, projecting invisible fields that swept over the human delegation. The results appeared on the central holo display, revealing perfect human vitals, but with unfathomable precision. Each heartbeat locked at exactly 70 beats per minute, with no micro-variations. Respiration patterns showed mathematical perfection. Body temperatures maintained at precisely 37.0 degrees Celsius, without the slightest fluctuation. "Are they constructs?" whispered a shocked delegate. The Kronak warcast General V. Thor, a massive being whose exoskeleton bore the marks of countless battles, ground his mandibles together. "Synthetic or holographic illusion?" he demanded, rising from his seat. "This mockery violates council protocol." The Crystalline Shard delegation's chief technologist, Ilraya, stepped forward. Her crystalline form refracted light as she moved, creating prismatic patterns across the chamber floor. "My analysis indicates that each human's cellular structure matches declared human genetics." Her voice chimed like delicate glass. "Yet every cell contains nanoscopic stabilizers beyond known human technology. This is impossible by our intelligence reports." As the council debated whether Earth was truly represented by organic beings, a more alarming development unfolded. Every outgoing transmission from the station abruptly cut off. All delegates' communicators jammed simultaneously, emitting only static or falling completely silent. Panic began to creep into their ranks. "Communications blackout," shouted a Zephyrin technician, their gaseous form pulsing with alarm. "All channels dead. Station isolation protocols engaged without authorization." Then came the viewport revelation that would forever change the galactic power structure. The chamber's panoramic windows, which should have shown empty starfields, instead revealed a sight that sent shockwaves through the assembly. Sleek human warships, using advanced optical camouflage technology, dematerialized to reveal an armada of over 4,500 stealth-class starcruisers in perfect formation around the station. The Council's elder arbitrators fussed desperately with archaic failsafes, codes designed in times when zero-point shields were still experimental. But no code overrode the jamming. No emergency protocol restored communications. The Galactic Council found itself completely isolated, surrounded by an armada whose very existence had been unknown until this moment. Throughout this escalating crisis, Ambassador Serena Malik's posture never wavered. When the armada appeared, she inclined her head in a measured, almost regal acknowledgement. Her silent composure spoke volumes about the confidence behind this calculated reveal. General Marcus Harlow's once solemn face now cracked a subtle, knowing half-smile. He glanced directly at the Kronak General V. Thor, who recoiled visibly from the human's gaze. The message was clear, Without a single word being spoken, the balance of power had shifted irrevocably. Dr. Li Wei-feng stepped forward for the first time since their arrival. His movement, so sudden after such prolonged stillness, caused several delegates to flinch. He stood beside Ambassador Malik, his presence combined with the biometric proof conveying humanity's technological supremacy without requiring elaboration. The chamber fell into stunned silence. The revelation of Earth's true capabilities had rendered even the most verbose delegates speechless. It was in this moment of collective shock that Dr. Li Wei-feng finally broke the human delegation's silence. In a voice crisp enough to echo across the chamber, he said simply, "Terms accepted." The phrase sent shivers through many delegates, particularly those familiar with recent galactic events. It was the same phrase recorded in the Rakthani pirate logs when they were subsumed by Earth 3 months prior, a detail kept deliberately quiet from the wider galaxy. Council members exchanged horrified glances as realization dawned. The peace fleet of 20 was merely a decoy. The real fleet numbered over 4,500 war cruisers, equipped with technology far beyond what Earth had ever revealed. The mysterious disappearance of the Rakthani pirates, once the scourge of 3 sectors, suddenly made terrible sense. They had refused identical terms, and Earth's forces had absorbed their resources, reassigning survivors to agrarian colonies. Most devastating of all was the understanding that Earth had not sought negotiation. They had orchestrated this entire proceeding to gather every major power in one place, then demonstrate absolute technological and military dominance. General Harlow now stepped forward, his voice deep and resonant after hours of silence. "Your refusal to cooperate as equals forced our hand. Now, cooperate on our terms, or assimilate into our agricultural programs, like the Rakthani." The High Arbiter Orexi's voice trembled as he asked the question now foremost in every delegate's mind. "What terms?" Ambassador Serena Malik finally moved, taking one measured step forward. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the weight of Earth's newfound authority. "The terms are simple," she stated. "First, immediate withdrawal from all human-claimed territories, including the Perseus Arm and Cygnus X sectors. Second, recognition of Earth's sovereignty and transfer of interstellar trade oversight to the Earth Council. Third, peaceful coexistence with strict respect for human-designated borders. Fourth, for those unwilling to comply, we offer integration into our agrarian program." The Council erupted in a mixture of outrage and terror. Ambassador Theric of the Evotari Dominion rose to his full height, his scales flaring in anger. "The Evotari Dominion will never submit to human demands. Our battle fleets will—" His declaration was cut short as a single volley from General Harlow's flagship disabled the shields on the Evotari battlecruiser, visible through the viewport. The precision EMP attack left the vessel intact, but completely defenseless. A demonstration, rather than destruction. "Your flagship has been disabled," General Harlow stated matter-of-factly. "All your vessels within this sector can be similarly neutralized without bloodshed. We prefer cooperation, but we have prepared for alternatives." The Kronak warcasts attempted to mobilize wing fleets via emergency quantum beacons, but reports quickly filtered in. Earth's stealthed patrols already controlled all known hyperspace lanes around the station. The trap had been meticulously planned and executed. Voran delegates slumped in shock, their delicate crystalline structures dulling in color, a sign of extreme distress in their species. Crystalline shard technologists frantically rerouted power in hopes of re-establishing communications, but to no avail. One by one, as the reality of their situation became inescapable, every primary delegate signaled their capitulation. The Evotari Dominion representative lowered his head. "We yield to avoid total annihilation." The Kronak general ground his mandibles once more before declaring, "We submit, effective immediately." The Crystalline Shard Council representatives chimed in unison. "We retract all claims on Western sectors." The Varan subdelegate Marak, her voice trembling, concluded the surrender sequence. "We accept Earth's oversight of interstellar commerce." The three human delegates remained motionless as dozens of alien envoys knelt or bowed, pledging fealty. The High Arbiter Orexi, his ancient features grave with the weight of the moment, solemnly relinquished command protocols to Earth Council's silent emissaries. In a symbolic gesture that sealed the transfer of power, a single Voran aide approached Ambassador Serena Malik, offering a ceremonial insignia, an ornate medallion engraved with First Council of Earth in multiple alien scripts. Serena inclined her head, neither smiling nor frowning, her silence once again proving more powerful than any declaration of victory. Aboard the orbiting human flagship, Dauntless, Admiral Kira Dyson, Earth's Supreme Fleet Commander, monitored the capitulated signals from her command bridge. As the final acknowledgement of surrender came through, she nodded approvingly to her crew. "Broadcast status update to all human colonies," she ordered. "Earth has assumed its rightful place without firing a single shot." Throughout human settlements across the galaxy, holo-transmissions beamed the news of Earth's triumph. Celebrations erupted on colony worlds that had long suffered under the Council's restrictive policies. The ornate Galactic Hall, once the seat of alien power, was immediately redesignated as Earth Council Governing Proxy Station. Subjugated species would now send delegates to consult, but real power resided with Earth's triumvirate. Humanity never spoke once during the negotiations that determined their fate. And yet their silence spoke volumes. In their stillness, they forced an entire galaxy to kneel. As the Council's ancient banner was lowered and replaced by Earth's new emblem, a silver eclipse with 3 stars, Ambassador Serena Malik raised a single, open hand. The gesture, symbolizing peace through strength, marked the beginning of a new era in galactic history. In the days that followed, as delegates from former Council worlds adjusted to the new reality, many sought to understand how they had so catastrophically underestimated humanity. Intelligence reports were reviewed, assumptions questioned, and a troubling picture emerged of systemic arrogance that had blinded the galaxy's elder races. Ambassador Serena Malik, now officially installed as Earth's prime representative to the former Council worlds, maintained the composed demeanor that had become her trademark. In private, however, she allowed herself moments of reflection on the path that had led to this triumph. Born on her Earth colony that had suffered devastating raids from Kronak forces decades earlier, Serena had lost her family to alien aggression, justified under Council resource allocation laws. Her grief had transformed into steely resolve, and she had risen through diplomatic ranks with a singular purpose: to ensure humanity would never again be victims. "Ambassador," a junior aide approached as Serena reviewed transition protocols in what had once been Therek's private chamber. "The Voran delegation requests clarification on agricultural quotas." Serena nodded, her movements now more fluid than during the calculated stillness of the negotiation. "Inform them that, unlike their previous oversight of Earth's resources, our quotas will be fair and sustainable. We remember hunger. We will not inflict it needlessly." General Marcus Harlow, meanwhile, oversaw the strategic redistribution of Earth's newly revealed fleet. Standing on the command deck of the Dauntless, he watched as squadrons of stealth cruisers established patrol patterns around formerly restricted sectors. "General," his executive officer reported, "the Kronak have withdrawn all military vessels from the Perseus Arm as ordered. Their General Vithor requests a private audience." Harlow considered the request. Vithor had been among the most vocal critics of human primitives in Council debates. Granted, he decided. Sometimes the most valuable lessons come from confronting one's misconceptions directly. When Vithor arrived, his massive exoskeleton seemed somehow diminished. The proud Kronak warrior approached with mandibles respectfully lowered, a posture of submission rarely seen in his species. "Your deception was masterful," Vithor admitted, the words clearly difficult for him. "How long has Earth possessed such technology?" Harlow allowed himself a small smile. "Long enough to witness your council debates, labeling us as barely worthy of attention. Long enough to develop countermeasures for every weapon in your arsenal. Long enough to grow weary of playing the role assigned to us." Vithor's compound eyes reflected the starlight. "We were blind." "Deliberately so," Harlow agreed. "Pride is the enemy of accurate intelligence assessment. Your people will learn this lesson without further bloodshed. I trust." The Kronak general bowed his head in acknowledgement, a gesture that would have been unthinkable mere days ago. In his laboratory aboard the station, Dr. Li Weifeng supervised the removal of nanoscopic stabilizers from the human delegation's cellular structures. The synthetic constructs that had enabled their perfect stillness were technological marvels, products of his life's work in biomimetic engineering. "Doctor," a research assistant called, "the crystalline shard technologist Ilraya has submitted a formal request to study your nanite technology." Li Wei considered the request thoughtfully. The crystalline shards had always been more scientifically curious than politically ambitious. Arrange a limited demonstration, he decided. Knowledge shared builds bridges. Knowledge hoarded builds fear. Ilraya arrived with appropriate deference. Her crystalline form dimmed to show respect rather than her usual brilliant refraction. "Dr. Li Weifeng," she chimed softly, "your achievements defy all our previous understanding of human capabilities." "That was precisely the point," Li Wei replied, activating a holodisplay showing the nanite architecture. "Your people classified humans as biologically limited in your assessment 70 years ago. That report shaped council policy toward Earth for decades." The crystalline being's structure darkened in what appeared to be embarrassment. "A grave error in judgment. Science requires constant revision of hypotheses in the face of new evidence." Li Wei stated, "Perhaps this principle applies to politics as well." Ilraya studied the nanite schematics with professional appreciation. "These could revolutionize medical treatment across species boundaries." "They will," Li Wei confirmed. "Earth's technological advances will benefit cooperative species. This has always been our intention, partnership rather than subjugation. The Council simply never offered us the opportunity." As days turned to weeks, the implications of Earth's strategic reveal continued to ripple through galactic society. The galactic news networks, once controlled by Council interests, now reported with a distinctly different tone on human affairs. Stories of Earth's primitive wheeled vehicles were replaced by in-depth analyses of human scientific achievements previously hidden from galactic view. On the orbiting station, now emblazoned with Earth insignia at every turn, the High Arbiter Orexi requested a formal audience with Earth's triumvirate. Despite his diminished status, protocols of respect were maintained as he was escorted to the chamber formerly known as the Council Hall. Ambassador Malik, General Harlow, and Dr. Li Wei received him with formal courtesy, but without the excessive ceremonial rituals the Council had demanded. The contrast was not lost on Orexi, whose ancient eyes had witnessed countless power transitions throughout his extended lifespan. "Earth's representatives," he began, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "I come not to negotiate but to understand. In all my cycles overseeing Council affairs, no species has ever achieved what humanity accomplished here. You revealed nothing until the perfect moment. You spoke not a word until victory was assured." Serena Malik inclined her head slightly. "High Arbiter, you mistake our intent. We revealed nothing because we were never asked. The Council presumed our capabilities rather than investigating them. You spoke endlessly about humanity, without ever speaking to humanity as equals. And now? Orexi inquired. General Harlow stepped forward. Now, we establish a new paradigm. One based on verification rather than assumption, on cooperation rather than dominance. The Rakthani, Orexi began hesitantly, chose conflict when offered peace. Dr. Li Wei completed the thought. Their leaders refused terms similar to those we presented to the Council. They believed their numerical advantage would prevail against primitive human defenses. They were incorrect. Orexi nodded slowly. And their people now serve in agricultural roles. They contribute to a system that benefits all, Serena clarified. Their warriors now produce food rather than terror. We consider this an improvement. The High Arbiter's expression revealed the complex calculations occurring behind his ancient eyes. The Council operated for thousands of years on principles of hierarchy and tradition. You dismantled those principles in a single day, without firing a weapon. Sometimes, Serena offered, the most effective revolution is the one that occurs in perfect silence. As Orexi departed, the three human leaders stood at the viewport overlooking Earth's impressive fleet, now visible to all, no longer hidden behind stealth technology. The transparency was deliberate. Earth had nothing more to hide. Serena, General Harlow addressed the ambassador informally, now that they were alone. Do you believe they understand what actually happened here? Ambassador Malik watched the stars, with an expression that revealed little of her inner thoughts. They understand that power shifted. They do not yet comprehend why. And why did it? Dr. Li Wei asked, though he knew the answer. Because we listened while they talked, Serena replied. We observed while they postured. We learned while they presumed. In the end, their greatest weakness wasn't technological. It was perceptual. The three stood in companionable silence, a stark contrast to their calculated stillness during the negotiation. The quiet moment was interrupted by Admiral Dyson's communication. Triumvirate, her voice came through the secure channel. The integration protocols for former Council worlds are proceeding as planned. 93% compliance with minimal resistance. And the 7%? General Harlow inquired. Mostly isolated holdouts, Dyson reported. Local authorities are handling the transition without requiring fleet intervention. The display at the Council meeting has proven persuasive. After the Admiral's report concluded, Dr. Li Wei turned to his colleagues. History will mark this as the moment humanity claimed its place among the stars. Not through conquest, but through strategic patience and selective demonstration of capabilities, General Harlow added with a slight smile. Both approaches have their place, Ambassador Malik concluded, as does knowing when to speak and when silence conveys more power than any words could achieve. On Earth itself, the populace celebrated their newfound galactic standing with a mixture of pride and solemn responsibility. Centuries of being marginalized had fostered a unique perspective, one that valued freedom precisely because they understood its absence. Prime Minister Ilan addressed the Global Assembly in Geneva, standing before representatives from every Earth nation and colony. Today marks not an ending, but a beginning. For generations, humanity reached for the stars, while the Galactic Council held us down. We developed in secret what we could not develop openly. We planned in silence what we could not declare aloud. The assembly erupted in applause, but the Prime Minister raised a hand for quiet. Yet, our triumph brings responsibility. We must not become what we replaced. Earth's new position as a galactic leader will be defined not by how we dominate others, but by how we elevate them. In distant former Council worlds, the news of Earth's ascension produced varying reactions. Some species embraced the change eagerly, particularly those who had also chafed under the elder race's rigid hierarchy. Others accepted the new reality with pragmatic resignation. A few isolated powers contemplated resistance, only to abandon such thoughts when Earth's technological capabilities became fully apparent. Ambassador Theric, of the Evotari Dominion, once the voice of council superiority, now found himself in the humbling position of requesting audience with human representatives. Standing in the antechamber that had previously been his exclusive domain, he waited as lesser officials passed through before him, a pointed reminder of changed circumstances. When finally admitted to Ambassador Malik's presence, Theric maintained as much dignity as his diminished position allowed. "Earth representative," he began formally, "the Evotari hierarchs have instructed me to establish working protocols for our new relationship." Serena Malik gestured to a seat across from her, a courtesy she had never received when addressing the council. "Ambassador Theric, Earth welcomes productive dialogue with the Evotari people. Please, be seated." Theric hesitated, unused to such direct engagement without ceremonial preamble. "I must inquire. Why maintain the council structure at all? With your fleet, you could simply dictate terms to each world individually." Serena's expression remained composed, but her eyes reflected a depth of thought that made Theric shift uncomfortably. "Because destruction is simple, Ambassador. Construction requires collaboration. Earth has no interest in ruling ruins. Yet you threatened the Rakthani with exactly that fate," Theric pointed out. "We offered them the same choice we offered the Council," Serena corrected. "They chose poorly. You chose wisely." As Theric departed with preliminary cooperation agreements, he passed Dr. Li Wei in the corridor. The human scientist acknowledged him with a respectful nod, another small courtesy that highlighted the contrast between Earth's approach and the Council's former auteur. In his private chambers, Theric reflected on the staggering miscalculation that had led to this moment. The Council's intelligence services had catalogued human technology as primitive, their military capabilities as limited, their diplomatic acumen as unsophisticated. Every assessment had proven catastrophically wrong. Most disturbing of all was the realization that humanity had achieved this victory without firing a single shot in anger. They had revealed their power, demonstrated their resolve, and accepted surrender, all without the bloodshed that had marked previous galactic power transitions. 6 months after what came to be known as the Silent Negotiation, the newly established Earth Council hosted representatives from every major galactic species. The gathering, held in the repurposed council chamber, lacked the pompous ceremony of previous assemblies, but maintained an atmosphere of dignified purpose. Ambassador Malik, now holding the title of Galactic Coordinator, addressed the assembled delegates. "Distinguished representatives, we gather today not as rulers and subjects, but as partners in a new galactic compact. Earth does not seek to dictate your cultural development or internal governance. We ask only 3 things: peaceful coexistence, fair trade, and honest communication." General Harlow, standing to her right, added, "Earth's defense forces will ensure compliance with these principles, not through intimidation, but through transparency. Our fleet patrols will be published and predictable. Our response to aggression will be proportionate and precise." Dr. Li Weifeng completed the presentation by activating a holographic display showing technological sharing initiatives. Knowledge flourishes when exchanged. Earth will establish 7 advanced research hubs throughout former council space, open to qualified scientists from all cooperating worlds. The delegates received these announcements with varying degrees of enthusiasm, but none voiced objection. The memory of how swiftly and completely the previous power structure had collapsed remained fresh in collective memory. As the formal session concluded, Voran Subdelegate Marak approached the human triumvirate. Once a junior diplomat who had first noted the humans' strange stillness, She had since been elevated to senior status, her perception now valued by her people. Earth coordinators, she addressed them with genuine respect. Many still wonder, how long had you planned this silent strategy? Ambassador Malik exchanged glances with her colleagues before answering. The strategy evolved over decades, but the decision to remain silent during the negotiation was made in the final hours before our arrival. But why? Marek pressed. Words are power in diplomatic settings. General Harlow's weathered face broke into a rare smile. Sometimes the absence of expected action creates more uncertainty than any speech could achieve. Your council expected nervous humans making futile protests. By giving you nothing, no words, no movement, no reaction, we forced you to question every assumption. And in that questioning, Dr. Li Wei added, lay the seeds of your surrender. Marek's crystalline features reflected thoughtful light patterns. A lesson my people will not soon forget. As the delegates dispersed to their quarters, Admiral Dyson joined the triumvirate for a private assessment. The transition proceeds more smoothly than projected, she reported. Former Council worlds are adapting to Earth oversight with minimal disruption. And the fleet deployment? General Harlow inquired. Operating at 70% capacity, Dyson confirmed. The remaining 30% continues development of next-generation technologies. If any faction considers challenging Earth's position, they will find us even more prepared than during the silent negotiation. Ambassador Malik nodded approvingly. Maintain visibility, but avoid provocative maneuvers. Our strength is established. Now, we demonstrate restraint. Later that evening, alone in her quarters, Serena Malik reviewed personal correspondence from Earth. Among official reports and political updates was a message from her childhood hometown, a small colony that had suffered under council restrictions for generations. The message contained images of new construction, schools, hospitals, research facilities built with technologies previously denied to primitive human settlements. Children played in parks where once there had been only rationed agricultural plots. The simple message attached read, "Your silence spoke for all of us." Serena closed her eyes, allowing herself a moment of personal satisfaction amid the weighty responsibilities of leadership. When she had stood motionless before the council, part of her had worried that humanity's grand gambit might fail. If the council had called their bluff before the fleet revealed itself, if the nanite stabilizers had malfunctioned, if any single element of their plan had gone awry. But it hadn't. Humanity's calculated risk had paid off more completely than anyone had dared hope. In their silence, they had rewritten the galaxy's future. The next morning, as Earth's triumvirate prepared for another day of reshaping galactic governance, Dr. Li Wei approached his colleagues with news. The crystalline shard scientists have proposed a joint research initiative, combining their photonic manipulation expertise with our nanite technology. Potential applications? General Harlow inquired. Medical, primarily, Li Wei explained, but also communication systems far more secure than current quantum entanglement networks. Ambassador Malik considered the proposal. Approve it. This is exactly the type of cooperation we sought to foster. As the day's formal sessions began, delegates from 100 worlds watched the human leaders with a mixture of respect, fear, and growing curiosity. What kind of galactic order would emerge under Earth's guidance? Would human dominance prove more benevolent than the Council's rigid hierarchy? Only time would answer these questions. But one truth had already been etched indelibly into galactic consciousness: the power of strategic silence. Humanity had attended negotiations, hadn't spoken, and everyone still surrendered. In the vast chamber where once alien voices had dictated humanity's subservient role, Earth's representatives now guided galactic affairs with measured words and thoughtful pauses. The silence that had won them dominion now gave weight to every statement they chose to make. And throughout the galaxy, the story spread of the day when three motionless humans had toppled an empire without firing a shot. Proof that sometimes the most powerful statement is no statement at all.